All right. This is If My People Bible Reading Part 241. And this goes beyond the If My People Bible Study Reading Part 1 to Part 235. This is 241. And you probably knew this was coming. I got so many requests about this. They said they've already got answers from all the churches and organizations, but they wanted my opinion or my knowledge of tithing and offering. So, for today, just as it was in the time of Abraham under the Melchizedek offering, do you remember that? Melchizedek went out there, and Melchizedek had was Salem, and he was in Jerusalem area, and he was the Melchizedek high priest. And Abraham had been with a number of his family, and so people that worked for him, so in the hundreds. So Abraham had hundreds of people that worked for him, and he had a lot of sheep. So let's just say he had 300 sheep. At the end of the year, whenever, once a week, do you tithe 10% of your 300 sheep? The churches have it very, very wrong, and they know it. The theological institutes, I've been in and out of them, studied them, talked to people. It's listen to what I'm saying. When Abraham went to war, and he got he got all the family back and everybody else. He tithed, and he wanted to tithe. He did make a tithe offering to Melchizedek. And basically, he would have given it all because he didn't care. Or 10%. That's fine. It's 10% of the increase. Increase. And yet the churches and organizations that really want your money are robbing you. And we're going to go through that. It's called offerings, and it's called sinning. Robbery is part of sinning. Institutional churches are really good at this. So let me put it another way. You make $50,000. You got a really good job. You just got out of college. You owe all kinds of loans and everything else. Whatever. You make $50,000 a year. The next year, you make, pardon the 15-minute bing bong. The next year you make $60,000. You got a big raise. You got an increase of $10,000, right? You were making 50, and you got an increase of 10, so you're making 60,000 a year. So you pay the tithing, if you can, to a church or organization, somebody of the widows, the orphans, where your heart leads you, where the word leads you. You pay a tithe. Yes, you do. And that tithe is not something that's voluntary. You owe it. You owe the first tithing to the Lord, Adonai, Yahweh. So what is that? It's 10% of the $10,000 increase. So it's $1,000. So through that year, divided by 52, whatever you want to do it or pay it once a year, you owe $1,000. You don't owe a 10% of your 50,000 that you made the year before. So the next year, you make $65,000 a year. You got another small increase, which is pretty good, by the way. So what do you owe? You owe 10% of the 5. That's the increase. That's the increase. Well, Bruce, how do you come up with this nonsense? Think about it this way. Abraham, when you looked at the flocks, Abraham, Isaac, Yaakov, Joseph, all of them, they start off with a few sheep, and a few sheep, and a few sheep, and a few sheep. How do you think they got to be hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of sheep? They paid 10% of tithing on the increase, not the gross, Not all this stuff you hear about. Do I pay gross, or do I pay after taxes, or do I pay before taxes? Where do you get this? It's not in the Word. It says plainly, 10% the tithe of the increase. So, how many sheep, how much money did Abraham give to Melchizedek that was his personally before the war? Zero. Zero. So once again, I get a little like this because preachers are thieves. Institutional churches are criminals. They're thieves. They're like the IRS. They if you ever call the IRS, and I had many times, you get information from them, but they don't help you, and they won't tell you. They know the truth. They will not tell you. They're told. I used to work for the government. They are told not to tell you how to take care of your money management. They'll just come after you on what they can get you for. So what is the difference between the IRS, criminals on the street, and your local churches? Zero. Now, that we got that. We'll go to the other part of the question, which is, what is offerings? Is there an difference between tithing and offerings? Oh, yeah. In the Millennium, there's going to be offerings. One of them is going to be Hebrews 13:15. Hebrews 13:15. You're going to be coming on a regular basis to Jerusalem. You're going to travel at the appointed times. Appointed times. We've gone through that. We know what appointed times are. And you're going to be able to pick and choose a time. You don't have to do exactly what you're told on a certain date, one day a year. You're going to have an opportunity because there's millions of people going to be coming to Jerusalem. And north of Jerusalem is the sanctuary and oblation area of Yeshua. Okay? So, but you're going to be coming to Jerusalem because that's where you bring your offerings. And who are the offerings for? The Levites. Because they are no longer priests of you. You are a priest of your family. We are a nation of priests, and we answer to Yeshua. And shepherds are going to lead us, that he appoints to lead us, the sheep, to do proper, such as offerings. So what is the offering? Offering of praise. Offering of praise, number one. That's not a blood offering. We don't do the blood and guts offering of all the words you can get out of the Bible. Is offerings comes as a word such as a verb, kerib, meaning to draw near, to come near Yahweh, to come to Him once a year is an offering. That is an offering. It's a verb. It's an action you're taking, and there's a bunch of words in here. You don't need to get confused on that. Rum, serif, Qatar, Allah, Shabbat, Shehot. That's not Shabbat, but Shahat. The noun offering. How about the noun offering for Korban, which means a gift, admittance offering? You're going to be bringing gifts and offerings freely, and you're going to be doing it because of unknown sins you may have done. There's the unknown sin, and there's the intentional ones you're not supposed to be doing. But you're going to be doing this. You're going to be hearing, obeying, and you're going to be making offerings. And some of the offerings goes to the tribe of Levite because they're taking care of the sanctuary oblation area surrounding all of Israel. And it is a huge area, 20 by 60 square miles. It is gigantic. And plus their area where they're allowed to grow in their own sheep and cattle and everything else and crops. That is a very large area, the same size and doubled in size as that of the oblation and sanctuary of Adonai. But no, every one of us is coming to Jerusalem. It's the city where the Lord is, city where the Adonai is, city where Yahweh is. That's what it means in the future. Right now, Jerusalem means Sodom and Egypt, a horrible place. But it's not going to be. So there's your tithes, 10% of your increase, okay? Not your gross or your net. Gross and net. When you start hearing a preacher saying gross and net, run. And what are you doing at these ding-dong churches anyway? They're doctrines, and it's intentionally wrong to make them set apart from other churches, not set apart from the world, but set apart from the other believers. Does that make any sense that we have 30,000 Christian denominations who don't like each other? They don't agree? And how do you know that, Bruce? How do you know? Because they don't get along. They don't have conventional meetings together. And when they do, they get together with Islam and Allah and Mecca. And they have Chrislam meetings. Oh, that's a good one. There's a way to start World War III. Good grief. And yet they just blindly, sheep just blindly walk into these churches because they think that, well, all they do is spend 50 minutes on a Sunday. I can do that once or twice a month. That's offering yourself. That's Negesh, Kerib, and Ashah. That's offering yourself to the Lord, isn't it? What can I do for? Here's a check. Here's $25. 10% of your increase. Offerings, free will offerings, guilt offerings, peace offerings, sin offerings, trespass offerings. You know, you could trespass by simply doing something on someone else's property that you shouldn't be doing and so forth, or break something and trespassing. And yes, that's a sin too. You're not supposed to be doing it, so you have to bring these offerings. So is this going to take place during the millennium? Yes, it is. There's not going to be a perfect paradise on the earth, not a perfect heaven during the millennium. It's going to be an interesting time under iron scepter rule from Yeshua. Iron scepter. There's something about the word, a big piece of iron, something you can get whacked with. Iron scepter. You think about that. Millennium is not heaven on earth. Heaven that you're looking forward to is not the promise Yeshua made about millennium. The hearing and obeying is the heaven to come. A non-earthly heaven, a heaven not made by a Jerusalem, not made by man, a heavenly Jerusalem. Big difference between what the millennium is yet to come and then the heaven after that. And the earthly Jerusalem heaven is not made by man, but Yeshua, the carpenter, is making it for us. So I hope that helps you. It is a big subject that has been back and forth in churches and back and forth in congregations and back and forth in small groups and all the groups that want to hear and obey and love their Lord, love Adonai and the Father, and want to be able to come to the Father, but they can't. They got to go through the Son. And but you can't go to an institutional church and get this answer. You have to go to some strange dude on YouTube, and who knows how long I'm going to be on YouTube before they just, somebody decides, oh, we don't want this stuff out there because it may be a help to somebody. Let's get rid of him. Whatever. So don't want to get you all cut up in words. We've gone through it. Appreciate your time. And thank you for sending in those requests. And I really enjoy it. I've got a lot of this stuffed away on my computer ready to bring out. It just takes me about an hour or so to review and to get on here and do my 15 minutes. And I hope you get a blessing from it. All right? All right. Take care. Shalom.